Hola. I just want to say before I even start, this is not celebrating what happened. This is not kind of throwing a party or justifying anything. This is just reflection, like the title says. So, um, Charlie Kirk was killed, as you probably know, and it was through gun violence. And this whole man's, it's so, this whole man's life is shrouded in irony, including in the way that he died. And I didn't want that for him, or for anyone. But I think more than anything, as someone who works in schools and who is constantly thinking about their own safety, the safety of the kids that they're with, who's thinking about lockdowns and drills and the reality that, you know, of clear backpacks and metal detectors, this is something I care a lot about. Gun reform is something I care a lot about. And, you know, even with my faith being in Christianity, I always felt that that made a lot of sense. But as I'm seeing this kind of response online, you know, from people who kind of just adored Charlie for speaking his faith, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, especially as someone who's like, who I feel has been to church more than most, who was super involved in like every aspect of in Christianity, from the amazing grace to like the intensity of speaking in tongues and spiritual warfare, like all of that in between. Um, and knowing what it is the word says, I don't want to preach to you because that is not my forte, neither is it what I want. But just seeing how the response has been really shocking, because because this isn't really about him, at least not for me. I think we need some serious change, and I don't appreciate going to work and having to worry about something like this, especially when there are other developed nations who don't worry about these things. Not even close. This is not a thought. This is craziness. To have to worry about things like this, especially when it comes to kids. And I think about it all the time. And there was a time where my anxiety was so bad towards these things because it's a reality. It's the truth. My anxiety got so bad that I didn't want to go into work, but I would do it anyway. And that puts a kind of like a shock effect on your body. Like, ooh, it's just something that you get used to, I guess, until you forget long enough, until you're reminded again when things like this happen. My cousin was at a mall when a shooting took place. They hid under their car. The school that I used to work at, the elementary school, a little 6-year-old girl ended up shooting her grandmother in the back in the parking lot while they were driving away from parent pickup. That's just a smidge of just the things that have happened in my life related to guns, or like that have happened around me. And it is terrifying. And so when I see this contradiction happening, because it is a contradiction, to advocate for love and advocate for, you know, certain things, and not advocate for gun reform, it feels super hypocritical, and it hurts my heart, because actually, and more than that, it irritates me to a certain extent, to my core, really, to not have people see the hypocrisy. Like, especially if you are a Christian who believes in what the word says, but you have an issue with gun reform, then that really leaves me with like, and to be completely clear, I'm not saying eliminate guns. I'm saying there are systems in place in other places, in other countries, that look a certain way, and gun ownership still exists. And I will throw out Australia, which I think the United States, if they got off of their ego, could absorb that system and put it into place here. In 1996, a massacre happened, and people had sense to say never again, and it hasn't. It hasn't happened ever again, and gun ownership still exists. And if that is possible in a civilized nation where people have mental health issues, where they're criminals, and all of these things, people speak English. I don't know what your parameters could be, but if that is possible elsewhere, I believe it can be possible here. And it takes work. It takes a little sacrifice, it takes some like, it takes sacrifice in the sense that it takes change and takes critical thinking and takes wanting it. It takes it takes empathy. Like, you have to, like, care about the kids. You have to care about the people. You have to care about yourself. And if you feel like something like that could never happen to you, you're not going to bat an eye. You're not going to worry about it, especially if you have security detail or if you have a lot of money and you feel protected. You're not going to worry that something like that could happen to you. You're going to think that it is worth it to keep the Second Amendment. And I'm not saying take the Second Amendment away. I'm saying the Second Amendment existed in a time where guns looked very different, and they were they were not as small or accessible or prevalent. It is not the same. And that's what I think is so great about our government, is that we have amendments. We have opportunities to add and clarify and look into constitutional rights and, you know, make changes to better the people, to better the citizens, to better, you know, schools. But that's not happening, and we can list a million reasons why. But I just find it so interesting about the hypocrisy. And if you care for the lives of kids, if you care about the lives of anyone, yourself, because it is very difficult to bear arms and defend yourself from a rooftop shooting. In fact, it's dang near impossible. So there needs to be a change. It needs to be harder. It needs to be different. And it's possible. If you don't think it's possible, then you've lost hope. If you don't think it's possible, if you think no matter what, criminals will get their hands on it and blah, blah, blah. I just told you about a nation that has had an issue before and solved it. Is it perfect? No. Is the grass green in other places? Sometimes, but not always. Is there still other ways to kill people? Sure. Come on now. But I will not sit in a classroom waiting for that to happen to the kids I'm with or to myself. And you are asking that of me. And I don't, and that is where the anxiety seeps in. But yes, that is all I have to say. It is a reflection because if you advocated against gun reform and then something like this happens to you, I want to say that I didn't want that for you. I wanted better for you. That's all I want to say. So if you spent your whole life advocating against gun reform and then this happens, it's far too late for like changes in mindset for that person specifically. But I don't even see the correlation to Christianity, to be honest. Like, especially knowing that nowhere in the Bible does it say make sure you protect guns more than you protect kids. And let me repeat, because people will forget, I'm not saying to take your guns away or to give up gun ownership entirely in America. That's not what I'm saying. That is not the case. And, you know, if you feel that America is exposed to a lot of things and a lot of things get in anyway, and I look at countries like Mexico where their highest school shooting death was 8 people and was 8 kids, and in the United States we're near 300. That is so bad. That is so bad. I should not feel that way. But yes, this is just a reflection. This is not a hate video to go into like every negative thing that has been said. But those exist. Keep that in mind. That's not what I want to do. But yeah, I figured since this happened this way, and it's so freaking ironic, not in a good way, obviously. But yeah, that's it. Bye.